So yeah, Caitlin Clark obviously flopped. Well, it seemed like she flopped on the play. So there was a play where this is what all the discourse about. This play in particular is mentioned. USA Today used this play to basically, I am paraphrasing, but heavily imply that Caitlin Clark is a disgrace to not only the Fever, not only WNBA, not only women's sports, but to her gender in general. Because, let's take a look at this. So shout out to Greggy518 for this. Let's take a look for this different angle. What does Caitlin Clark do? She takes a charge. She takes a charge. She got elbowed, she takes a charge, and the refs don't call it. She got hit. Like, is it a soft charge? Yeah. Does she do a really, really bad job of taking the hit? Yeah. Absolutely. She does a horrible job of taking the hit. From the other angle, it looks like she just threw herself back onto the ground. But like, that's an offensive foul. That's an offensive foul. And I can't believe I said this because I said, oh yeah, this is the same flop as Letitia Meir. And you know what? Again, if it's not called both ways, if the referees didn't nearly try to foul out Aaliyah Boston on exclusively offensive fouls that were flops, it's one thing. But like, that's more of an offensive foul than anything from me here. So the think pieces were about a charge. People saying CC flopped in this play, extended her elbow. She hit the deck. She tried to sell a foul. She absolutely did. She absolutely did. That being said, like, it looks bad here. It does look bad from this angle. It looks bad, really bad from this angle, I have to admit. It looks really, really bad from this angle. Account that I've blocked. Let me guess which dumbass this is. Oh, I have no idea. Oh, yeah, fair enough. But it did look bad from that angle. But like, you would think before being, again, it's one thing if you are a content creator. It's one thing if you're a content creator. It's another thing if you are credential media where what you post goes through editors, should be fact-checked, and if you're pushing a narrative, it means a lot more. And again, there is a reason why, like if I was representing a news outlet or somebody else and I was posting on their outlet, it means a lot more rather than just giving an opinion piece. Rather than just giving my opinion on the situation all around. But this is an offensive foul. There is no question about it. This is an offensive foul. And even if you want to say it's soft, okay, fine. If you want to say, yeah, it's a soft foul, yeah, I don't disagree. But when the referees in the game have shown that any contact plus falling to the ground equals foul and not flop, that's what the referees decided. This should have been called as a foul. But yet, instead, a lot of journalists recklessly wrote entire think piece articles about how Caitlin Clark is a disgrace to basketball. And I mean this, I think her not showing up to media, I think they were trying to get a quote out of her, and they didn't. So now that's the thing. And you better believe that it's like, there was one article written, and now you're seeing all the media being like, oh yeah, keep writing these. This is how people really feel. And that's the thing. There's a positive feedback loop. There is these things are feedback loops. And if you get a feedback loop where writing something negative about Caitlin Clark equals views and impressions, like, I'm going to be real. You're going to keep doing it. You're going to keep doing it. And that's not necessarily a knock on the individuals. It's not necessarily a knock on the publications. But again, if a lie is told enough times, it becomes the truth. If a lie is told enough times, it becomes the truth. And the fact is that the exact play that has been quoted in every one of these articles was not a flop. was actually a foul. Worst case scenario, you can say she tried to oversell the contact. I'm sorry, when has anyone ever been like killed for trying to oversell contact? But yeah, it's as simple as that. And you better believe all it took was one. All it took was for that dumbass in Golden State to not get the quote that he wanted from Caitlin and decide, okay, yeah, I didn't get my quote. I don't know again if he wanted a quote for his hit piece or if he wanted to write that he wrote the hit piece because he didn't get a quote. I don't know. I don't know the guy, and I'm not going to pretend, but he didn't get a quote, was not happy about not getting a quote, and instead wrote a hit piece. So all it took was that, to basically show that, to open the floodgates, and then it's fair game. All it takes is one credentialed journalist. Again, let's never forget. We always go back to the Luka Doncic situation. Luka Doncic had just taken down the Oklahoma City Thunder. Had one of the best playoff series I've ever seen in my life against the Minnesota Timberwolves on one leg. This man should not have been playing basketball. His knees were bleeding. He gave everything. And he just didn't have it in the finals. The Celtics knew that he couldn't move anymore, and they did everything they could to put him in every action, and his body just gave out. Brian Windhorst went on a 3-minute rant basically calling him fat. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to say anything about Brian Windhorst, but him of all people can't say that. It's one of those things now where you have got, once that becomes a narrative in the media, everyone's going to run with it. Like, Luka Doncic, literally, let's not forget, Luka Doncic went on a 10-game win streak this year while averaging 40, and the media were still calling him fat. He lost 40 pounds. Didn't matter. They don't care. Once a narrative is there, it doesn't matter. And again, it's one of those things where it's like, especially when it came to, again, Kendrick Perkins. Shout out Jokic for winning the title in 2023, because if he didn't win the title in 2023, the Kendrick Perkins narrative that Nikola Jokic actually sucks and the only reason he won MVP is because voters are racist. If he doesn't win the 2023 title, then we have a top 15 player of all time who's no longer in those top 15 player of all time conversations because of a rant on the media. Kwame Brown is listed as the number one bust of all time. Kwame Brown is not one of the 50 biggest draft busts of all time, but because of a Stephen A. Smith rant, he becomes the number one bust of all time. Dwight Howard didn't make the top 75 of the NBA all time when he's probably closer to 40 than he is to 75 because Stephen A. Smith and the media didn't vote for him because they didn't like him. The media narratives change everything. Caitlin Clark could lead the league in points and assists this year, and you better believe, and the Fever could be the 1 seed. I don't think it's going to happen because the Fever roster stinks. The Fever roster around, the big three don't fit together, and the roster around them doesn't fit. Nothing fits. As individuals, they're all fine. As a roster, they just don't fit. That being said, again, you've now got a situation where the media has turned, and it's now fair game in the media. So what you're going to see now is you're going to see less and less articles posted about Caitlin Clark positively. Caitlin Clark could have 25 and 19. Could have 25 and 19 tonight. She could break the record for most amounts of assists in a game. She very well could. She could have 30 and 10 again. But you better believe that the article tomorrow is going to be the one bad defensive play she plays. The one time she gets switched on to Carla Late and gets crossed up and Carla Late gets a layup. The one time she dares a bad three-point shooter to shoot a three and they hit the three. That's all that's going to happen. Caitlin Clark, they could win the game by 20 and Caitlin Clark could have 30 and 10. And it actually doesn't matter. Because this is what the narrative is. And you know that's going to be the case. Because again, this is a foul. This is a foul, or at least it's close to a foul. But apparently this was such an egregious flop that it required a multiple paragraphs in a hit piece that was supposed to be an article about the game. This one play required multiple paragraphs in a hit piece and pretty much had some journalists go as far as to be maybe one step below stating that she is a disgrace of a human being.